As a professor, one of my favorite things is a good introduction. A nice, powerful introduction that sets up what you're about to read. And most albums don't really have a proper introduction because the material itself is introduced by singles, by individual songs which are highlighted for their commercial potential and sometimes for their ability to represent what you're about to hear. Billie Eilish's very strong and interesting and well-made decision to not release a single for her new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, means that this first track, Skinny, is in and of itself an introduction. And much like the rest of the album, it's a masterpiece of an introduction. It could not do a better job of announcing both the tone and the content of what is to follow. Guitars right up front, with Finneas right there playing the guitar. There's still some synthetic sounds, some synth whines in the back. Her voice is breathy, and if you're one of those haters who just says, all she does is whisper on the mic, okay, fine, you do it. You whisper on the mic, or you try to be this breathy while still being this powerful at the same time. It's really overstated. It's just beautifully well made. What is she singing about? Well, she's setting up the themes of the album on this song. In the beginning, with this breathy yet powerful voice, while these guitars are changing chords, Finneas isn't just sitting there doing, Pete Townsend power chords. He's playing almost, Radioheady arpeggiated chords, individual notes off of the chords. Fell in love for the first time with a friend. That's a good sign. This whole story, where basically the whole album is divided into two. It's a breakup album and it's a new love album. The sort of happy and sad of love. And it segues immediately into this other question. So, okay, right off the bat, we have that she feels like she's in love. As we learn in the next song, she's in love with this woman who is a friend of hers. I don't know the woman's name. Doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me thematically is that that's the happy part of this album. And then we have the struggles of growing older in the public eye. Feeling off when I feel fine. 21 took a lifetime. Let's remember that she is 21 years old or 22 years old. The amount of young that she is insane. When I reviewed her album, the first album I reviewed was that one back there. It seemed like it was a decade ago. It was just a few years ago, and she was still a teenager. And the weight of being in the public eye. Listen, it's part of pop music. It's part of the new paradigm, or paradigm, as you might want to pronounce it if you're me up until like the age of 30. It's part of the new paradigm, where pop singers sing about being pop singers. They have to tell the truth. We now demand that our pop singers are not impenetrable statues who have no feelings. She's able to talk about, people say I look happy just because I got skinny, but the old me is still me, and maybe the real me, and I still think she's pretty. Great. Right there discussing perhaps her previous album's rollout. You see behind me this painting by Bruce White, Velvet Geek, on all platforms. He does amazing art. That's an original oil painting I had made for my daughter. And that era, she was very out, like with her body, not with her sexuality, but with her body. And we had a friend of the family who knew that we liked Billie Eilish, and every single time that she'd talk about it, she'd say, she's so pretty. She's just so pretty. She's so pretty. Look at her eyes. She's so pretty. And I was proud of my daughter, because, my daughter's a big Billie Eilish fan from a long time ago. And she's just like, Dad, why does she keep talking about what she looks like? Because who cares about what Billie Eilish looks like? What cares about is that she's such a great artist. There's great echoey sounds in the back, and all these things I'm describing here. I'm here 3 minutes and 53 seconds in. I haven't given you the intro. You don't know who I am, and we're still talking about just the first song, a little bit of atmosphere in the back. Finneas throws in a little bit of atmosphere to set up the chorus. I Still Cry. No drums here, just some thumping sound in the back, joined by the probably biggest trademark of Finneas and Billie's work together, ornately orchestrated vocals with just multiple Billies. And what's cool is that Billie Eilish throughout this album shows a lot of vocal growth. She's definitely not just whispering. I think she's been, at the Lauve School of Jazz Singing. She's really improved. I mean, that's maybe not fair, because on Happier Than Ever, she also was really showing off a lot more vocal range. But it makes sense because she's 22 years old, okay? Her prefrontal cortex, whatever it is, hasn't even formed yet, okay? What I like here, too, what Finneas is doing is the chords are changing kind of awkwardly. There is a level of imperfection, a level of willing awkwardness many times throughout this album, which I think shows Finneas's strength. He is not trying to make some kind of pop perfection, easy to listen to thing. Eventually these strings come in, eventually some drums come in, but the drums come in with this. You know what this is? See if you can guess what this is before I show you. This is what's called a brush, a drum brush. And when you play drums with brushes, it's kind of a cool jazzy sound, you know? It's like that. That's the sound that it makes. This right here, this is not an instrument for a pop musician or even a rock musician or a funk musician. These are nice, soft, jazzy sounds. Am I acting my age now? Am I already on the way out? Questioning whether or not she has already peaked at such a young age. When I step off the stage, I'm a bird in a cage, I'm a dog in a dog pound, and you said I was your secret, and you didn't get to keep it, and the internet is hungry for the meanest kind of funny, and someone's gotta feed it. What I like here is that the last album, Happier Than Ever, I thought was more about fame than this one is, but she still has to talk about it. It's still part of it. And then she asked the question, do you still cry? The two-sided nature of this album. What a beautiful introduction, Billie. Thank you for not giving me a single. Thank you for not giving me Lunch first that colors everything. Thank you for allowing my experience of your album, your whole album. Thank you both, Billie Eilish, for allowing me to have this song be my introduction. Because I had the love and now I have the question, do you still cry? It's also a breakup album. Her voice just keeps reaching higher and getting all melismatic and almost like an R&B singer from the 90s. The guitar is kind of bending and interesting. It leads into a bridge, which is a little tad more noisy. Maybe if there's a thing about, maybe this introduction announces something that I'm not going to entirely love about this album. Maybe a sort of lack of super strong bridges or kind of an aimless feeling. I never did you wrong, and oh, my patience is gone. I never did you wrong. I loved you for so long. And then we have this cinematic outro. Billius, Finny, whatever we're going to call Billie Eilish and Phineas, what they are able to do here is they introduce, I think it's a string quartet, playing this absolutely heartbreaking, bittersweet melody. Now, bittersweetness is a very important theme to this album. It's a very important theme to life. I'll talk about it in depth when we get to the song called Bittersweet. But for now, understand that this melody, da da da, da da da. It's a little off, like the rhythm is interesting. It's a little minor, it's a little descending, it's a little sad, but it also is uplifting. It's such a gorgeous melody. And I listened to the album 4 times before I realized that it came back twice. That it's not just a little melody, it's a leitmotif, okay? Leitmotifs are when you listen, when you watch a movie and there's like a little song that goes along with a person, all right? Maybe the most famous leitmotif is Darth Vader, dun, 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 okay? Like that's a leitmotif. And this is the leitmotif of the album. That's both this wonderful new love and this bittersweet loss of this other love. Da, da, da. I can't sing it. I don't have a good voice. I'm not Billie Eilish. I'm Professor Skye. So I can't sing it. But you know it. If you're watching this, I hope you know the album. I hope this isn't the first you're getting into it. But if not, then please listen to it and know that it's even better than I'm singing it. Later, she'll give you these lyrics. I love you. I still do. I just wanted the same passion from you. It makes the whole damn thing a movie. This introduction to the album sets up every single theme, sets up the atmosphere, makes you know this is not a pop album. This is not an album with back-to-back bangers. It's not a goth album. It's just an album of great music with this wonderful cinematic through line of this melody of bittersweet love. The bitterness of lost love, the sweetness of new love, all together. It's a descent, but it's not a descent into hell. The guitar and the voice and the string quartet, and it all leads perfectly into the second song. Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's record review, the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who thinks that Billie Eilish is maybe the best band in the world. Okay? I understand that Billie Eilish is the name of one person, but may we please, in the parlance of our times, keep it a buck and understand that they are still 2 people. It is one of the great gifts that Billie Eilish has given to the world, that Billie Eilish is not a person, it is people. It is the brother and sister making music together. And what we're seeing, what we're witnessing is simultaneous growth. Growth together and growth apart. Do you understand how special this is, what we get to see with this album? Do you understand that this is like, oh, it must have been awesome being in the 60s and hearing how the Beatles evolved from She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah to Rubber Soul? Yeah, it must have been awesome. I don't know, we have it all now. We're seeing this growth in real time. You know, she's going on tour, and I bought tickets to see her for myself and for my daughter, who is called Goat on this channel quite often. If you haven't, I used to do videos with my teenage daughter, mostly about Billie Eilish. You can check my back catalog if you want to see her wearing a goat mask. It was a weird idea. It was before I was almost a plaque holder, which I am currently almost a plaque holder. But, you know, I bought tickets sight unseen. I don't care. I'll pay the Ticketmaster fees. Even if Joe doesn't save me from those fees, I'll pay the fees. I bought 2 copies of this CD because, you know, she paint splattered each of them. I'm going to be doing a giveaway at the end of this video if you want to see how you can win my second copy of the splattered paint. I would hold it up for you, but she's slacking on her shipping, okay? So, hey, Billy, Finny, would you please, like, I want the disc the day it comes out. As I listen to this album, despite the fact I've only been sitting with it for 2 days, it is absolutely a grower. It's an album which the first time I heard it, I was like, cool. Second time I heard it, I was like, fine. Third time I heard it, I was like, you know. Fourth time, I was like, well, the first 3 songs are good, but then fifth time, I'm like, actually the 4th and 6th and 8th and 10th song are all good, but as I listen, the more I enjoy it. It is an absolute album. Why did I start off with the description of the introduction? Because much like a well-written paper, it's not a bunch of ideas put together, it's a whole idea. And here's an idea. Is pop music dead? I'm not saying it is, but you know, Girl in Red released a proper pop album, and Dua Lipa released a proper pop album, and both of them have not gotten in my opinion, the respect that they deserve for those 2 great albums. But also, you know, who is... I mean, what? Taylor and Beyonce and Billie. I mean, these albums are like, I guess they're by pop stars, but there's some real heavy thinking. There are some really interesting ideas that are executed with excellence. If these are just pop musicians, then I think we have to admit that the quality of our pop stars has gone up and they're doing more interesting things than pop stars were doing 20 or 30 years ago. And it goes back to that growth. The fact that this is a largely downbeat, guitar-centered album about finding love with a woman and breaking up with a man and about trying to figure out how to be a person in addition to being a celebrity. Did you see that documentary? I did a video of that documentary. I thought it was so sad. I thought it was such a sad documentary. It was happy, but it was also very sad about her tour. And I feel like this feels to me like she's still in that kind of sad moment, but she's still working her way through it. You know, there's something about that album cover. And again, I would hold it up if the shipping weren't so late. Did you also order it? Are you also waiting for the shipping? You know, like of her being underwater in this door. And for some reason, it doesn't make me sad. It doesn't make me feel like she's drowning. It makes me feel more like she's floating and swimming. I don't really know how to say it, but let's get to the rest of the album. So I've already talked about Skinny. The one thing I wanted to add here, besides my cute little introduction, is the way that the melody descends at a certain point in the verse reminds me strongly of the song White Winter Hymnal by Fleet Foxes. Not the I was walking in the, but the way that he sings in the summertime. Have a listen, tell me if you think I'm right. Then we get to the song Lunch. I said there weren't bangers. Of course there's bangers on this album. This is the bop of the album. This is, you know, I put it on. I talk all the time about how I have a 60-month-old baby who loves music, especially music she can dance to. And this song, she just finally, the completely inappropriate song Not Like Us has been replaced with the song Lunch, which, listen, it's still very, you know, like the bass is super good. It's a very cool, like muffled sound to start off with. And then eventually the guitar comes in and things get a little bit cleaner. I like how the guitar is kind of like a Western, almost like a surf music style guitar. And we have, of course, a very dirty lesbian pop anthem, or sapphic pop anthem. anthem, okay? Meaning like pertaining to female on female sexual encounters, okay? Obviously, I don't know, lesbian, bisexual, queer, all that stuff, right? But I'm not going to make judgments. I'm just going to tell you what I hear, okay? So I'm hearing a very graphic song about a lesbianic encounter, right? It's easy to forget that this is meaningful. We're so awash. Like, we're living in a time where there's so many shocking instances of female sexual pleasure being put into popular culture. It's easy to lose sight of how great that is, of how important that is. Like, if you want to know, oh, is feminism working? You don't sit there and stare at a football player being a weird misogynist at graduation. Fine, let him have his little manosphere, okay? It's fine. He deserves criticism he's getting. But that's that. Meanwhile, we have one of the greatest pop stars of all time, and certainly of the moment, making a song which makes me blush when I listen to it. And it's all about oral sex on a woman by another woman. And it's a great pop song. And this is actual progress. This is what progress looks like. This is not Lollipop by Lil Wayne, is not progress. A man talking about receiving fellatio from a woman is not progress. It is just as shocking. It is just as much making you blush. But this is a question of female agency and the taboo of female sexuality. And as this becomes banal, we are achieving something, right? WAP walked so that lunch could run. You understand? And it's just a great song. Phineas is just doing his thing. Great guitar, like single lines over in the right channel. She needs a seat. I'll be a volunteer. Hey, what's up with lunch and munch rhyming? Okay, so Ice Spice has her whole song, which is kind of a problematic song because it makes it seem like oral sex on a woman is like a punishment, right? But doesn't matter. Still, like, that's popular in the lingo. And then we have lunch. So, like, what's up? It's just weird, right? Lunch and munch. Sometimes my kids' friends watch my videos. So I hope they don't clip me saying that. And it's got this great little techno breakdown in the middle, these kind of wah sounds. And just, it's a really nice, it's an oddly sweet song, I think, because it's talking about something which is often taboo, so even the kind of orgasmic breathing. It reminds me slightly of a Monty Python song. I don't know why I'm talking about Monty Python so much these days, but I am. They have a song called Sit on My Face and Tell Me That You Love Me. I'll sit on your face and tell you I love you too. Life would be so divine if we'd all 69. It's a very goofy song from the late 70s. But again, these are important moments that we're living through. And then we lead into Chihiro, which is Goat's favorite song. That's my daughter's pseudonym here. Bass and faraway snaps. Again, very bass-led. Like, I love this album because, like, the songs that aren't guitar-based are bass-based. And that's based. And I don't think we are appreciating it enough, because when we think Billie Eilish, we think quasi-goth pop, lots of bloops and blips and voices. But between this and that Guitar Songs album, like, Billie Eilish, the band, is becoming like a rock band almost. And she mumbles kind of during the verse, sort of like maybe tomorrow. And again, one more thing about the bass. I almost forgot this. It's not perfect. Like, he's not playing perfectly. He's not playing the same exact thing every single time. And that gives it so much life. It's a thing I said in a previous video where sometimes I listen to their music and I just go, Phineas, because I just get so excited about what a great producer he is. And I know, you're all sitting there, Billy, I know, Billy's awesome. And Phineas is awesome. That's why they're so great, because they're together. But in this case, it's hearing the bass not be exactly the same each time makes me say Phineas, because it feels like what it is, which it still is. This is still two nerdy siblings making music in their basement. They held on to it. They're still doing it. Do you know how lucky we are? Cool, kind of like, did you take your love away from me? Nice. It's almost like a falling leaf of a melody. And it builds up with these almost like Daft Punk style arpeggios as well. Apparently this is all based on the movie Spirited Away by Miyazaki. I've been to Tokyo. I've been to the Studio Ghibli Museum, but I've only seen like one of their movies. I just didn't get it. Listen, that doesn't mean that I think that Studio Ghibli movies aren't good. It means that I think that I have a great lack in my knowledge. The only one I know is Ponyo. Is that the one about the fish? That's the one I've seen a lot. I like it. What I like about this song is the way that the waves come in. It reminds me a fair amount of what is my favorite Billie Eilish song, NDA. But it's a very chill version here. The bridge has a little bit of fun with the bass. It's not really electronic. This is a great headphone album. Simple drum machine. It's just beautiful. And so those are the first 3 songs. And I initially thought, well, hey, those first 3 songs, that's like a 1, 2, 3 counter. And then we have a step down with Birds of a Feather. But then we had that 5th listen. And by the 5th listen, that thing that happens where your ears get ready? Your ears have a Pavlovian response to the end of a song, and then they start playing the next song in your head. That's what happened. I had the Pavlovian response where, like, if I didn't hear Birds of a Feather immediately after Chihiro, I was going to die. That's how I felt. So maybe I'm not right. Maybe this album is so good that run keeps going even to the 4th song with this nice little ditty with like a lilting melody, kind of like Spandau Ballet. I don't know, almost like has like a really sort of like 80s almost far out new agey feel. Till the day I die. There's a slight change of tone where she says like, you're so full of S word, and that's okay, but it's a little bit weird. But I do love at a certain point, there's just this little high synth melody. It's like a mosquito. It's a mosquito melody. Next time you listen to it, imagine it's a mosquito. It's almost summer, y'all, which means another couple months of me slapping my ear as hard as I can for no reason at all while I sleep. I just hit myself really hard right there, by the way. My head's ringing. I'm a smart professor. Next track is called Wildflower. Okay, this is maybe not up to the rest of the track. Maybe, I don't know. This is that basic idea of, she was your girl, showed her the world. Okay, lyrics. But then we get to this one moment at around 1 minute and 30 seconds where this is my funniest moment, because it starts off, did I cross the line? And there's just guitar and voice with just a little bit of sustain. Sustain on it. A little bit of sustain. Can't grab a bite to eat. Just a little bit of a sustain. And then the bass comes in. And listen, okay? Listen to what's happening here, because the bass matches the melody of the voice. And then the drums come in. It's a very tight, nice drum set. And then it gets super big and epic. So we have basically like a little rock jam that just comes in the middle here. But it's so subtle you might miss it. I don't know what I'm going to call this video. I might call it So Subtle You'll Miss It. Like, sometimes things are too subtle. This album might be too subtle for people. I don't know. Then we get to the center point of the album, super jazzy singing over these kind of plucked guitars, all about trying to keep you satisfied. And the chorus just builds so subtly and beautifully. It feels very sort of confessional. There's a certain point like double guitars, and then it builds up super strong. And this is that song where it brings back the bittersweet melody, that melody from the beginning, the leitmotif of the album. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. I loved you, and I still do. Okay, I'm done. Just wanted passion from you, just want what I gave you, I waited and waited. This is that downside. She's super happy to be having the lunch and munch. That's great. But then at the same time, she's working through this, and I appreciated you, and you could have been the greatest. Kind of Taylor vibes on here, actually, in the way where, like, I would feel bad for, like, Travis, because, like, there's like an entire double album about, like, a bunch of other dudes. and so little about him. At least this song has a couple songs for her new love. And then we get to the song L'amour de ma vie. Listen, I saw the track list a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, man, she's going to sing in French. They're going to resuscitate the French program at my college. I'm going to get to teach upper-level French classes again because Billie Eilish is singing in French, baby. She's not singing in French. It's just the title, Love of My Life. But it's nice jazz singing. The guitar's got a little, like, tremolo sound, a little more confessional again. You moved on immediately, and I want the best for the best of your life. It's a very good breakup album. You know, talking about like her stomach being upset, and it ends with this great line, I was the love of your life, but you were not mine. That's the sort of greatest revenge you can have on an unwanted breakup. But there's a weird thing this song does, where it's like this. It's like okay. And all of a sudden, we're like off the highway, and we're like, I don't know, like we're in Jumanji with the Kevin Hart and The Rock, and we're driving around, and we're bumping like Ace Ventura and the second Ace Ventura movie, and we're just all over the place. This 80 cents, this really super low farting bass, and she's singing with like auto-tune. It sounds super awesome. And it's like, wait, is this that same song where we were? All this whole movie. The auto-tune actually reminds me strongly of the ability that Kanye West has to get emotion out of auto-tune. And it ends with this low, rumbly bass. Wow, totally unexpected. This was not announced by the introduction, but that's fine. A good introduction, you don't have to put everything in introduction. You can have this weird thing where you drive off the highway. Second Ace Ventura movie, by the way, better than the first. Super underrated movie. Yeah, it's a little problematic by today's and yesterday's standards, but it's very, very funny. Next track is called The Diner, The Dinner. Old-timey style, almost kind of European. I'm going to say something because it made my kids laugh a lot. My son said, this sounds like the Kahoot soundtrack. So Kahoot is some kind of like learning platform that kids have to use with computers. I don't know. In my day, my school didn't even have Oregon Trail. We had a thing called Logo. That's what I remember playing with at school. So if you know Kahoot, is my son right? Is this just the Kahoot theme? I imagine that's very funny. But I like the way the voice is echoed here. This makes me think a little bit more of previous style. It's a little bit more electronic, a nice kind of like blasting bass. And it turns out when you read the lyrics carefully, so I listened to the whole song, I didn't really think about it much. It's just like, okay, it makes sense, you know. Like there's a lot of themes about not sleeping on this album. But you know, it would look nicer if this plant were right there, wouldn't it? Yeah, that looks nice. VelvetGeek.com, I think. Or at least Velvet Geek on Instagram. Find his work. He does commissions like that, by the way. Like, check this out. Like, look at the detail and the work on that. All right? It's an original piece of art right there. All right? Support local art, you know what I'm saying? All right. What was I talking about? Yes, so it turns out that this theme of not sleeping is usually about the breakup, but in this case, it's about a stalker, and like a stalker who's like trying to find somebody and doesn't want to, and it sucks. I mean, how many stalkers? Billie Eilish must have had so many stalkers. Then we get to the return of the bittersweet. Oh yeah, I just thought of my title. You get to watch it in real time. Oh Jesus, am I gonna call it the Bittersweet Symphony? Oh, that's so cheesy, Skye. God damn. I think I have to do it though. I think I have to do it. Bittersweet Symphony is that song. Yeah, song from the 90s. Doesn't matter. But bittersweet. So she's spelling it she's having fun with words. So S-U-I-T-E, meaning it's a sweet because it's a two-part song. But this goes back to the idea of bittersweet. And listen, when you're a parent, it's hard to like instill good values in your kids. And one of the most important values you can instill in your kids is constant cognizance, constant awareness of the bittersweet nature of everything that is good in life. There's nothing that is good in life, like that is truly good, that is not bittersweet. Traveling is wonderful, but it has to be bittersweet. You have to miss home at the same time as you love seeing somewhere new. Having kids and watching them grow is wonderful because they're growing. And then you're like, my little baby who used to wear he was like in her little goth phase and went to Hot Topic and begged for me to buy a t-shirt. She's studying for the SATs and she's going to college next year. Okay, that's bittersweet. Like that's the real goodness in life. That's part of the reason that Americans we're a little bit screwed, because we don't like bitter. We just like sweet. You think about the way that we eat, right? We put sugar in whiskey, all right? Just like Jesus Christ. Come on. Okay, you have to let things be bitter and sweet. And it's great. This whole song is great. It's very different. It's got these blasting synthesizers, almost kind of reggae sounds, similar to the previous ones, kind of far away and close. I'm going to get the CD eventually. Okay, I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to be happy that I have it. I'll tell you how I'm going to do the giveaway, by the way. I want you, if you want to win one of the 2 copies, you have to have a comment in this video. You have to include AVAA, all right? I will heart that comment. And then you have to write both your favorite song and your favorite moment from the album. Like, what's your favorite, 2 to 3 seconds? It can be because of a lyric. It can be because of a production detail. Maybe you're going to go back to that point in that song I was talking to you about and say in Wildflower. Like, yeah, that's my favorite part too. Okay? You do that, and then, I don't know, I'll go on Instagram and I'll put them all in a hat and I'll pick one randomly. Okay? So that's how you can win. All right? So just this song is a great example of a song where the first time I heard it, I kind of liked it, but the more I listen to it, the more I like it, and the strength of her voice and how vulnerable and strong her voice can be. And it's just great songs here. The production kind of takes over. I love the drums and the organ. It's very awesome, just low organ blasting sound. And then she does these things on the last couple of tracks where I am a professor. And part of writing a good paper is knowing when to call back to previous ideas. Make sure the people are following along. L'amour de ma vie, she says, love of my life. That was a couple songs ago. Love so bittersweet. Open up the door for me because I'm still on my knees. The door of the album cover. It's all kind of coming together. It's all this nice idea. It's all together. This is that bitter part of this bittersweet album. Little melody on the keyboard, a sort of a sensual Billie Eilish style melody that comes in and leads right into the next song, Blue. What an album ender. Do you know what else a professor likes? A good conclusion. A good conclusion closes a window and opens a door, or closes a door and opens a window. Doesn't matter. You can't just say everything you just said. You have to have another kind of idea. And this does everything just right. The new idea in this song is these kind of bendy, echoey, this bendy sound. I'm living in black and white, but I'm so blue. Another kind of rock song. She just does a whole summary of the album. Every single song on the album, I think, is referenced in here. Birds of a Feather, Now I'm Ashamed, Désolé mon amour, a little bit of French there, Open Up the Door, I'm Still Overseas, all these things tying together that make it clear that she is presenting a very nice portrait of this relationship. This weird line of you were born as blue as a butterfly. Sometimes babies are born blue and they don't breathe enough. It's pretty spooky. I don't blame you, but I can't change you. I don't hate you, but we can't save you. Thank you. Dear Billie Eilish fan, I'm 46 years old. I'm happily married. I have been in some disastrous relationships in my life. So when I tell you I am happy now, it's because I went through some shit, okay? I know I said S word earlier, but I'm saying the S word now for real. This line, we can't save you, is so good because so often we think of the line, I can't save you. And that's true. Don't save her, right? We think of that all the time. But we can't save you? That means that she understands that she was a part of a folly with a destructive and self-destructive person, presumably, probably an abuser, maybe not the most destructive abuser, but I hear overtones of abuse in here, but that's maybe just me. You want to save the person, but we can't save you. Meaning, not only can I, the individual, not save you, but our togetherness can't save you. That is a beautiful thing to keep in mind. That is a life lesson that Billie Eilish is sharing with you. All 22 years of her is sharing this piece of information with you that you should carry with you for the rest of your life. You might think that you're not trying to save somebody, but secretly you're trying to save them by saving them in your couple, not by your individuality. And it really goes deep. Like, you are a victim of your father's plans to change the world. I'm pretty sure she's never dated Elon Musk, but I sort of think that if Grimes were playing on the song, I would say this would work really well. And then there's this weird other part, this like low, nutty, like sleeping 3 hours a week. Like, she's like all of a sudden becomes like Large Marge. She's just like, I don't sleep, you sleep. And that just very cool, weird, unexpected sound. And then there's like a little tiny, little production, little bittiest moment there, like the sound of like stepping on a squeaky toy. And this drum machine comes in and you think you're over. You think you're done. You think that everything's here and you're finally done with the album. And what does Billie Eilish, the band, do? What do they do? They bring the melody back in. They bring in the bittersweet melody. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. So what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be seeing Billie Eilish in concert. And when I go, I'm not going to be sitting there going, I hope she does Bad Guy. I'm not going to say, I hope she jumps 8 feet out of the air and then lands on her broken leg or any of that stuff. I'm not even sitting there saying, I hope she does that song from Barbie. I want to be there when we hear the melody that is the melody of Billie Eilish right now. What she has given us, this amazing melody, what they have given us, this amazing melody that says everything. In an introduction, in the body of the paper, and in the conclusion. That's my review. Hey, did you just skip over here to see how to win your copy? I gotta tell you, I put it a little bit earlier in the video. You think I was born yesterday, YouTube? You think I hold up my Patreons upside down? These are my Patreons. They give me money to buy music. Like the fact that I'm doing a giveaway, okay, the fact that I'm doing a giveaway where if you put your favorite song, AVAA, and your favorite moment in the album, I'll pick it out randomly. See, I'm nice. The fact I was able to buy 2 copies and do a giveaway is because of the money they give me. They also help me buy diapers, which is sweet because diapers are expensive. Always buy Pampers, never buy Huggies. Okay, so, oh, and also Zach asked for a specific shout out, so I'm going to give him one. I sometimes ask for shout outs. That could have been you. You could have been on this video, which will be viewed by statistically 3,000 to 5,000 people. Let's see. Can you share it? Can you like it? Can you comment on it? More people will see it. And go back and check out, hey, I'm going to do the SuperNet thing. You ready? I'm going to point over here and be like, check out my other Billie Eilish videos. Did it work? I've never done this before. I'm getting so close to 100,000 that I have to figure out how to do cool stuff like this now. It's probably on that side, isn't it? All right, there's the camera.